Hey guys, what's up? How you doing? I should be live. My name is Artem. Today we're going to be talking about how to choose movies for watching things in English. A topic that I really enjoy, something very interesting for me, something that I recommend to a lot of my students to watch as many TV shows as possible. And yeah, let's talk about how to do that, how to choose the best TV shows, what mistakes people make when they, choose TV shows, and how to make sure the TV shows that you're watching are effective and they help you with learning English. Okay? So, first things that we need to talk about is that different TV shows, they have different levels. Okay? So, there are, TV shows like Game of Thrones. It's a very difficult show. And I know a lot of Russian people, they like Game of Thrones, but unfortunately, maybe it's not the best option if you're only starting to watch TV shows or movies, okay? So remember that the level should be appropriate. By the end of this, small presentation, I will give you my personal recommendations, like what TV shows are best and maybe what you should watch, okay? But first things first, so let's talk about, the algorithm. How do you watch the TV shows? How to make it effectively? If you watched my first webinar, maybe you remember that I talked about Russians, they like to watch things with Russian subtitles. That's a very big mistake. So if you are that person and you're watching TV shows with Russian subtitles, you should probably stop doing that because it will not help you with learning English. Okay, it's very important that you do that. So you can use English subtitles. Or you can do something that I do with my students, something that I personally recommend and I tested on many subjects, is that you can download the subtitles maybe for your favorite TV show online. So you start watching the TV show or a movie, and then if you hear something that you do not know, you pause the video, you pause the TV show, and you open the text file and you look for the word that you do not know. Now, if you have the time, the patience, and patience and stamina, you can also translate all the words that you see in that text file before watching the TV show. By doing that, you actually eliminate all the future time that you will spend on translating those words when you watch the TV show, right? So if you just watch the TV show and you pause all the time to translate things, you'll probably waste a lot of time, and it will be difficult for you to focus on like understanding and listening things correctly. So I just recommend, if you have the text file with subtitles, just look for all the words that you did not know, translate them before watching the TV show, and then start watching. And that way you can listen carefully, you can focus on listening, and 100% of your attention will be allocated towards listening. Okay? So try to do that. I know that it's like spoilers, and maybe it's not the best way to do for you if you do not like spoilers, but actually it's very effective for learning purposes. So something like that could be really useful for you. Okay. Now, when it comes to like choosing what genre, I think it's also an interesting question. I'm not sure if you guys know like what genres are. It's like what type of movie or a TV show is. So, there are action genres, detectives, I don't know, drama and something like that. And I know a lot of people, when they only start watching, they choose, their favorite TV shows or favorite movies, and they don't really care about anything. So I recommend that probably you choose something like um, drama, or basically anything where people actually speak a lot and they communicate. So if you're watching like an action movie or a horror movie where like most of the things that are happening on the screen is just, people shooting each other or running away from each other, and they're not communicating, maybe it's not the best TV show for like learning purposes. I personally recommend long TV shows where people talk a lot. I will give you my recommendation at the end of it. And yeah, just like try to avoid things that, TV shows and movies where people do not talk much. Okay, so and yeah, you can use like drama, fantasy, comedy, or crime. And remember that if you're watching something like comedy, especially if we talk about American humor, you will probably hear a lot of words that you do not know. So you also need to think about the level of the TV show or the level of the things that you're watching very carefully. Okay, so comedy probably not the best choice if you're like only starting to listen to TV shows or movies. And yeah, just like keep that in mind. I personally recommend maybe some fantasy, some simple fantasy with not a lot of, smart scientific words. And yeah, something interesting, maybe like a detective story, but not something like Sherlock. Maybe you guys know this TV show that is very popular in Britain, Sherlock. Like, I think the type of language that people use in that TV show, it's very, very difficult for, even intermediate students. So, like, people speak really fast, they use advanced vocabulary, and sometimes it's really difficult to understand what, people say. And yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of genres. So, one more time, try to choose genres and TV shows and movies according to your level. So, do not take Game of Thrones. Oh, I like Game of Thrones. It's fantastic. You can do that, but just keep in mind that you will have a lot of like medieval words, old words, basically, outdated phrases, and it will not be as useful for you for learning purposes. It might be fun, but it might not be useful in terms of like gaining good vocabulary. Like, what's the point of watching TV shows where people use the language that nobody uses in real life? Okay, so if your purpose is to learn languages, you need to focus on something that a lot of people use in real life. Okay, now let's talk about my personal recommendations, and maybe I will break down why I like those TV shows so much. So the first one that I always recommend, especially if you want some American English, it's a TV show called Lost. And it's about like people crushing down on an island trying to survive. Very interesting. And the reason why I recommend this TV show so much, it's because people usually do not curse in that TV show. They do not say bad words. Okay, and it is very very rare for American TV shows. So usually, there is a lot of slang, a lot of words that you need to, in order to understand, you need to live in the United States to understand the meaning of those words and phrases. And sometimes it can be really difficult. So the TV show that I'm recommending, Lost, usually not a lot of phrases like that, not a lot of phrases, and very good American pronunciation. So I usually recommend my students to start with this one. Okay. Next one, it's something that you can find on Netflix. It's actually very popular, and it's Stranger Things. Stranger Things. I think it's a really good TV show. Maybe it's like for teenagers, but actually, I know a lot of adults that watch that TV show. Very good TV show. Again, American pronunciation, and very very like simple English, modern phrases. Very good TV show. Very good TV show. And again, not a lot of slang, which is very rare for American TV shows. I think it's because like maybe if you watch this TV show, the action takes place like in the past. So people try to use the language that people used in the United States in the 80s or maybe 90s or even 70s. So it's actually not. You do not have a lot of like modern slang in it. So also very very good for learning purposes. Fantastic. Next one, if you want like maybe to increase the difficulty a little bit, I could recommend Modern Family. So Modern Family is a very good TV show when it comes to simple but modern phrases. Maybe the first two, it's like general American English, nothing fancy. But this one, it's actually very good, and you can focus on modern phrases. The TV show is called Modern Family, so you'll probably have a lot of modern things, modern conversations, modern topics in this TV show. I watched it; it's pretty good. All of the shows that I recommended, I watched back in the days. I'm a big fan of watching TV shows. That's how I actually improved my English back in the days. And usually, I tell my students, English, like it gets actually really fun once you reach that intermediate level and you start watching a lot of TV shows. Like it's actually fun. Now, so we talked about Modern Family. That's good. You can actually watch Dexter. So Dexter, it's like this, criminal mastermind. It's about a criminal mastermind. A very interesting TV show. Maybe not for everyone in terms of like the violence that you see in that TV show, but actually, level of English, it's not that difficult. And also, it's slightly more difficult than, maybe Stranger Things or Lost. But if you want to increase that difficulty, or maybe you finished watching the ones that I talked about before, I think, yeah, Dexter is a really good choice. Now, the next one, and this one is interesting. It's the next TV show is called Vikings. So the reason why I recommend this one is because like people try to imitate Viking accent in this TV show. So it's actually very easy to understand what people say. The language that they use, it's very, very simple. So it's actually on the same level of, difficulty as maybe Lost and Stranger Things, and at times it's even easier. But the reason why I put it maybe in the fourth or fifth place in like my recommendation is because like this pronunciation, it's actually not that useful because people do not talk like this in real life. So previous TV shows there are nice because like that's how people actually talk in real life. This one I'm not sure. Maybe like people that live close to Norway with American accent. I'm not sure. Maybe they try to speak like that. But yeah, try to watch that one. Language is very simplistic, so there's nothing that should be really difficult for you when you start watching that one. Okay. Now next one, it's especially maybe very special recommendation. It's not for everyone, and when I say not for everyone, I mean that probably this TV show is not for men. Okay, so it's Desperate Housewives. Desperate Housewives. Maybe you know this TV show from like Russian television, and it's about housewives living their life in the suburbs. And I actually have to admit that I watched all the seasons of this TV show back in the days because I really wanted to expand my vocabulary. And like there are 9 or 10 seasons of this TV show. It's very interesting. Check it out. But maybe yeah, the topics and the subjects and the plot, it's oriented more towards like women audience. So I'm not really sure how guys are gonna be whether or not they're gonna be okay with watching this TV show. But I watched it. I'm still here. I didn't go crazy or anything like that. So maybe yeah, give it a try. It can be pretty interesting. And there is one movie that I recommend. So all of the things that I talked about like previously, it's TV shows. So like some of them they have a lot of seasons. So if you start watching them, that's a lot of content for you. That's a lot of things, a lot of hours of things that you can watch. Okay, very interesting, and it will take you months, maybe even like half a year to finish all of them if you watch them regularly. So if you just use the TV shows that I mentioned today, you're gonna have a lot of content. And if you watch all of them diligently, you write down all of the words and you listen carefully to what people say, your level of English is probably going to rise just by watching the TV shows that I mentioned. So it's really, really nice if you do that. And yeah, the movie that I recommend, it's called The Illusionist. Illusionist. I'm pretty sure that it's like a British movie, and it's probably the best pronunciation that I've ever heard. Like it's so clear, so distinct. It's just fantastic music to your ears. And yeah, just check it out. But that's just one movie, right? So the other things that I mentioned, it's TV shows or TV series. Be careful because I know a lot of Russians they say TV serials, right? So cereal, it's like what you eat in the morning with milk. Okay, so TV series. TV series, okay, or TV shows. It's the same thing. A lot of Russian people they think, oh, TV show, it's like late night show, like Ivan Urgant or something like that. No, no, no. So TV show and TV series, it's the same thing. And I personally prefer TV series over movies because like you just have a lot of content. And one thing that I always tell my student that if you start watching something long, something that has a lot of episodes, maybe many seasons even, you get used to the voice of the actors. Okay, so usually when you start watching movies all the time, you need to get used to, like, the voices of the actors, the pronunciations, the accents that they have. And it's very important that you focus on, listening, and allocate your attention to things that you already know. So if you know this actress, how she speaks, it's going to be much easier for you to listen to her and maybe try to learn the things that she says, try to use the same phrases in real life, compared to, watching every different movie every day. And first 30 minutes, you try to, get used to the voice of the actor. So it's very important. And yeah, just like general advice, take things slow. Take things slow. I know a lot of people, when they start watching TV shows, they have like huge lists of words that, they never really bother to learn. And they just, like, skip right through it. They just, like, go through episodes one by one. They just want to have some fun. And I will learn it later. Like, the words, the phrases that they use, never do that. Never do that. So try to, learn as many words as you can as you progress watching the TV show. I actually recommend watching maybe one episode a few times. It's actually a great idea. Maybe not as fun, of course, but it's really nice, especially if you learned the words and then you do that. It's really good practice for improving your listening skill. I remember when I first started, like, I was watching one episode maybe 5 times, but like, it was back in the days. There were not so many TV shows out there at the time, and now you have a lot more options. So maybe, like, just try to watch in the beginning 1 or 2 times, one episodes, and then learn the words and then move on. Okay, so that's like my recommendation. Usually it works. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Like, I think the most valuable information that you can take from today's lessons, it's the TV show that I recommended. Okay, so one more time. The first one that I always recommend, American TV show called Lost. Lost. Okay. Next one, it's Stranger Things. You can find it on Netflix. Stranger Things. Okay. Next one, I probably recommend Modern Family. Modern Family, very good TV show. Number 4 would be Dexter. Dexter. Number 5 would be Desperate Housewives. A lot of seasons. So if you start watching that, you will you will never finish watching it. Okay, it will take you a long time. And probably the last one, it's Vikings. And the only reason that it takes, like, last place in my list, it's because the accent the people, the actors use in this TV show, it's not realistic. Like, nobody talks like that. So they imitate Vikings. So in real life, nobody talks like that. Nobody speaks like that. And all of these shows, they are good for intermediate level. So if your level is intermediate, you can already start watching the TV shows that I'm talking about. Okay? So yeah, that's pretty much for me. I do not have anything else to add. Now, guys, if you have any questions, please ask me in the YouTube chat. But I only see 3 people watching this, so I suppose, I assume there are not going to be any questions. But if somebody's going to watch this when it's not live, when it's recorded, maybe on YouTube, just, like, try to check out the TV shows that I talked about in, this broadcast. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I personally had a lot of fun watching that, and I definitely recommend them. Definitely recommend them. And last thing that I will talk about, a lot of my friends, back in the days, started, my first TV show was Friends. Okay, so Friends, a lot of people, like, nowadays, they start with Game of Thrones. Remember, you need to choose the TV show according to the difficulty. Okay, so I think that Friends, and especially Game of Thrones, they're very difficult for intermediate level. In Friends, you have a lot of, like, jokes and phrases, and, like, you need to know a lot about American culture to understand, like, it perfectly. And yeah, just, like, try to stick to the ones that I recommended. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much for me. So thank you guys for watching, and yeah, maybe somebody is gonna check it out when it's, like, recorded and uploaded on YouTube. But right now, I do not see any questions, so I suppose that we are finished. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, next time we're gonna talk about some fun stuff. Check out other teachers that we have. on this channel. So usually Monday and Wednesday, it's my colleague Alona. Tuesday and Thursdays, it's usually me. I talk about like different topics. You can check out the topics like this on the site. And on Fridays we have our native speaker Alex. He's from the United States. And yeah, check us out. We put out some content for you guys. And if you have some questions about how to have lessons maybe with teachers, you can contact like this thing right there. Maybe use the phone or the site. Okay. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye bye. Have a good one. How do I end this?